Yo, I sneezed earlier, and like
Oh
I
my god, I
plugged
can't
I
wait to
plugged
use.
my nose, and it went through my mouth, and it went all over my windshield. Welcome to Great Talk with Adam Riley. I'm Riley.
And I'm Adam.
Uh, we just want to thank everybody for all the support on our very first podcast. I got texts out of nowhere from people I haven't talked to in a week, and I was just blown away.
Yeah, we got 100 views on our YouTube video in under 24 hours, which is cool because we both kind of agreed on the number. Like we thought we might have like 12 views
12,
roughly
yeah.
by the next day.
Like
we woke
half
up,
our friends would watch it.
yeah, and we woke up with 44, and it just keeps going up and up and up.
So it's really exciting for us, and we just want to thank everyone for their support and positive comments.
Yeah, we're working on presentation right now of the videos and the podcast. So we're working on the picture in the background and how we can eventually get it onto a podcast website.
We also have the a better background for you. Before just a picture of a mic, very not well done. But now we have it says the Great Talk for you, and then we're gonna have annotations on the screen. So after the episode, you can click on the previous one if you missed it, or the next one if you're watching this when we have our next one out. And we also have the annotation to our Facebook and then our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we also just want to, one last time tell you how stoked we are just to be doing this. And, for Riley, I know his career path, involves radio and such. So
Yeah, I would like to work in radio when I'm older.
Yeah, so, and I might find a future in it too. Who knows, you know? So it's just cool to have this idea that Riley came up with, and now we're actually doing it, and we're planning on going to continue doing it whether you guys are listening or not. We're
pretty much
in it for the long haul. Yeah,
as we said on our Facebook, we also hit 22 likes.
22 likes.
Yeah, and I don't know all of them.
No, so we're moving up, and we're excited.
Moving up in the world. And now, before we get into it, during the last episode, we also said that we considered both ourselves recent rednecks, and I can't say that as much as I thought I did before.
And what do you mean by that? What happened?
I had an option of being able to buy a big old pair of cowboy boots, and I decided to just get a regular pair of shoes.
What kind of shoes are we stocking here?
I'm talking, I just got a regular pair of work shoes when I could have gotten a pair of cowboy boots.
You're telling me non-slip shoes right now?
Yeah, they're non-slip, but it would have been non-slip cowboy boots, which would have been perfect for fishing, which I never do.
I got you. So you lose redneck points.
I'm losing redneck points, but eventually we'll have our senior redneck correspondent on here, Shotgun Rago, and we're gonna see how he feels.
Yeah,
how much I lose, because he moves a lot of units of redneck every day. So we're just excited. I'm excited to have him on to maybe back me up, which he probably won't.
Yeah, we have plans to have guests on here, and it'll be fun. We're gonna kind of interview people with different backgrounds and whatnot. So we're working on a couple more things to work out before we have somebody, but we're gonna have people on here to, provide extra entertainment for y'all, just in case it gets stale.
Which it won't get stale, because
I don't know. I feel like listening to you talk all day
is the best thing that anyone could do.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Hey, I'm feeling the same way. But thanks for the support again. And now to go into it, since I'm not a recent redneck, what's your very first memory?
Okay, I have one memory that I remember from way back in the day, which I guess I would consider it my first because it's not a very clear memory. Mm-hmm. I was sitting on the steps at my old house, the oldest house that I had. It was a red brick house in New York, and I was writing in a book my own language, in quotations. I told my dad I'm writing my own language, and I couldn't write, so I was just literally just scribbling in a book. Mm-hmm. And so there was crates next to me, like wooden crates, and my dad was out doing yard work. That's all I remember. And I just remember telling my dad that, and he was just like, okay. And then that was it.
And just went right back to work.
Yep.
Well, my first memory is kind of a sad one because I got yelled at by my brother. I love you, David. Shout out. But I got yelled at by him because he came over and he didn't hand me, he put beside me a glass of milk. And meanwhile, this was the date of December 24th that he did this to me. So I take the milk and
What year would this be?
I was probably 3, so about 1792.
Okay.
And then so he hands the milk doesn't hand. He sets it beside me, and I take it and I drink it. He sees me drink it, and he starts screaming, "That was Santa Claus's milk!" Because it was December 24th, and he thought, and I thought, because he's like, Santa's not gonna come now, and I thought I ruined Christmas.
Did you cry?
I cried like a baby because I was 3.
So you didn't cry over spilled milk, but you cried over the fact that you drank Santa's milk.
I would cry over spilled milk, just to clarify that, because milk is nectar from the god.
Nectar from the gods.
I was gonna say from the gods, but there's only one. And then
Yeah.
That's my first memory. Is just me drinking Santa Claus's milk and my brother yelling at me, and I assume my parents were just laughing in the background.
So what you're saying is your first memory is you ruining Christmas for you and your brother.
Yes.
Okay. My dad told me one time about a memory, his first memory. He was standing in a walker, I guess, or
Yes.
a crate, not a crate. A playpen.
Playpen,
And so he was standing in a playpen, and he said that he remembers the news being on about JFK being assassinated.
Really?
And he said that's what and he doesn't remember what was on the screen. He just remembers that that's what was going on, and his parents all were around the TV, and everybody was around the TV watching. I was like, that's a crazy first memory.
Yeah.
And he says it's blurry, but he said since he's gotten older, it's gotten clearer and clearer, like what it actually was.
You say the word assassination, you think JFK. And the same thing with like ALS disease. It's called Lou Gehrig's disease, because that's the celebrity who died of it. And now when I think of AIDS, I think of Magic Johnson. What level of celebrity has to die of Ebola for it to be called, like, say, Dwight Howard dies of Ebola? Be like, bro, you got the Dwight Howard disease.
Yeah, right.
That sucks. Get away from me.
Okay, first off, I would like to shout out to the Ebola comment I made last time. It was not August 8th that the first American died of it. It was October 8th.
Oh,
Somebody pointed that out to me, and I said August. I was like, oh, man.
And
you know what?
I also looked up. It wasn't an American, but it was the first one on American soil to die. But the gentleman was not an American citizen.
Got you.
So.
Okay, yeah. So back to what you were saying. Yeah, I don't know. When I think of ALS, I just think of an ice bucket. Is that sad that that's what it's become?
No.
When somebody says ALS,
sad.
I don't think, oh, that's a disease. I think someone's getting frozen water dumped on them.
It's not sad because ALS research got $12 million through the Ice Bucket Challenge with people donating. So it's not sad in that aspect because the Ice Bucket Challenge worked as it's supposed to work.
Is it
I want an Ebola challenge.
an Ebola challenge?
I don't even know what it would consist of.
You know what? How about you comment on Facebook
what the Ebola challenge should be and
Yes.
what we should do to raise money for Ebola.
So the whole ALS thing, do you believe in conspiracy theories around it, whether they were actually getting the money or whether they were donating part of it to that and part of it to the
I feel
researchers?
like you have to pay the researchers. You're not going to have researchers come in and just work for free.
Well, the conspiracy was more based around the higher ups were getting money.
Yeah.
In the pursuit of,
And it's all really the company. I feel like what happened is they're used to a $50,000 budget or whatever their budget is, and then whenever they got the money, they just stuck to that budget, and all the higher ups just got paid more.
So on that subject, do you believe in conspiracies as far as
Some
school
conspiracy.
shootings and
No. That's a crazy person.
theater shooting?
No, that's a crazy person.
Because I've watched a couple on them, and it's insane. So do you believe that somebody's landed on the moon?
No.
So you don't believe that?
No, I do not.
So you're in with some of the conspiracies.
Okay. I looked up a statistic once. There are more people that don't believe that we have landed on the moon before than people who smoke in America.
More people
Believe that we did not land on the moon than people who smoked in America, who smoke cigarettes in America.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't believe we did it. If you look at for what we imagine the moon looks like, yes, it looks real, but I don't think so.
So why would the government do that? Why would they?
Well,
decide
during that time, I believe it was Ronald Reagan who was president. I almost said JFK there. That would have been embarrassing. But I believe it was Ronald Reagan. But it was a space race. It was during the Cold War. This could all be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. But if I sound stupid, just tell me in the comments of this video. But it was like basically a space race. It was during the Cold War. We were trying to get there before Russia. America can say that we were the first ones on the moon. Now, if we get there and we get there again and they have proof that that same flag is there, okay, I'm down. I believe.
Yeah, see, I'm different. I choose to believe things that sound better. So if something sounds better to me in a conspiracy, I usually lean towards that. For instance, the moon thing. I would like to think that we landed on the moon. I would like to think that the government didn't lie to us. Same with the Colorado shooting, the theater shooting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of facts here and there, and if you look at the internet and you see pictures and stuff, like the pictures of after it happened, there was a mask here and a blood stain here that wasn't there before. And there's just a lot of weird stuff, and there's always going to be things around, like major traumatic things that happen that are everybody wants to be like, oh, here's this, that, and this. It just all depends on, like, you have to decide, like, in the end, like, what seems more logical.
I completely agree. It's all your decision. You weren't there. You're just hearing everybody else's story. But it just, like, when people tell me stories, sometimes I'm just like, well, that's dumb. I don't believe that at all. Then other times I'm like, you know what? Maybe that sounds logical. That does make sense.
Yeah, and there's already stories, like, revolving around the Ebola scene that it's a conspiracy already, that yeah, people have the disease, but that it's being controlled by the government, how they choose to use it and whatnot.
It's just, I don't know, man. Just, like, stuff. I don't believe we went to the moon, but that's, like, the only conspiracy theory that I genuinely think is fake. Well, I believe that conspiracy theory where everything else is just, you know, you gotta respect it at some point. You gotta respect something that happened, and it's not fair to the people that I feel like they died in the Colorado shooting. It's not fair to them to question what actually happened there because it's obvious what happened.
I completely agree because of the elementary school shooting that was a little while ago. I can't remember the name of it. There was a lot of stories around how that was a conspiracy, and that's not fair to those families. And I would take nothing away from those families. But then they have videos up of, like, the family, the in quotation family members of, you know, the kids that there's no proof of them ever, you know, existing. Like, they don't have pictures from when they were younger and such like that. And then the parents, they are actually, there was a point where they had proven that they had gone to acting school at some point in their life and blah, blah, blah. And there is such things. Acting schools have these actors and actresses that are planned. They're called traumatic actresses. And they're supposed to be representing people that are going through traumatic things that can't talk and whatnot. And so they literally stay anonymous for a long time until it's time for them to have a role as a traumatic actor or actress.
Anything that you can do anytime in your life can be held against you. We're doing a podcast right now. 50 years down the road, they could say, even if we stopped after the second one, someone could say in a courtroom, oh, he used to do podcasts so he can talk all the time. He can talk this and put anything he wants in your ear. And he can talk for all this time just talking to you. Do you believe all of it? And, like, people are just like, oh, well, he did do that professionally or whatever. You know, it's all relative.
I'm not gonna lie, I literally have no idea what you just said. That didn't make any sense.
Just, I don't know, just any little thing at any point in time that you ever did in your life can at some way or another be held against you. Like, inside, when a cop arrests you and they say anything you say or do can and will be held against you in the court of law.
Yeah.
Where literally anything you do in your entire life at some point could turn around and bite you in the butt. I'm not saying this will, but someone will find a way to use it against you at some point. And that, I don't know, maybe it was just one couple went to acting school when they were younger, and then they're blowing that one couple up out of proportion. But, you know, I don't believe any of that. It's all, I believe someone crazy did something crazy.
Yeah, that's fair enough to believe. It's complicated because, you know, media puts things in your head.
Yeah. And also, like, even with the moon thing, like, the conspiracy, like, some conspiracy theories you say, oh, that's a conspiracy. And everyone's like, oh, blah, 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 you're crazy for thinking that. I don't think that the moon thing is as crazy to think that we didn't get there as it is, because as many people who legally smoke in America who legally smoke cigarettes in America, there's more people that don't believe we went to the moon than that. So I feel like that one's not as crazy to not believe.
Yeah, I feel you.
So going back to the first memory, what's your most scared memory? The most scared you've ever been in a situation where you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it out of this alive. I'm going to die. You ever had a moment where you're just like, I'm gonna die?
No, I've had moments like I've always had somewhat of a fear of getting in trouble. Not anymore for some reason, because I've been through so much of it. But
I feel like once you get older, the whole there's like a caring aspect in you that just goes away. Like when you first get a job, you care so much, and then towards the end of it, you're just like, oh well, I just burnt myself. Oh well.
Yeah.
Pallet just crushed my toe. Oh well.
Oh yeah. Well, there was a point where I think one of the most scared I've been was I was with a couple friends one time, and we jumped a fence to an elementary school, and we were just to hang out. We were on the slide or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were walking up and down the hallways, and one of the guys, he picked up a beer can off the ground and acted like he was drinking it. So he's got a beer can in his hand. We're 12, 13, 14 years old, young, and he's like, oh yeah, we can be here, don't worry, it's cool. And I was like, I don't know, it's kind of weird that we had to jump a fence to get in.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's fine, we always come here to hang out on the playground. I was like, all right, well, this is cool. Well, we walk down the hallway, and all of a sudden we hear voices like coming from ahead of us, and so all of a sudden they're both like, run. And I was like, wait, I thought you said it was cool to be here. So we start running, and the guys come around the corner.
Do your parents know about this story?
No, they do not.
So they're gonna hear this.
Oh yeah.
So just clarify, sorry mom and sorry dad.
Yeah, sorry dad for trespassing. Yeah, so they come around the corner, and they were like, what are you doing? We were like, oh, we're just coming to hang out on the football field. And they're like, oh, okay. And then he looks down and sees this 14, 15-year-old kid with a beer can in his hand. And I was like, oh, there's no way getting out of this one. So he says to us, he goes, we're just security here. We're just making sure you guys aren't doing nothing stupid or vandalizing. And he's like, if you guys want to go back to the football field, go ahead. He goes, there's always a cop that rolls around here probably in the next 15 minutes. And he just wants to make sure you guys are up to no good. So if he comes back there, make sure you wave him down and just say, hey, we're good, The security guy said we were all right. So they said, okay, that's fine. And so they go sit down on the bleachers, and I said, no, what's happening here is we're trespassing, and he's sending a cop to come get us. I was like, we need to go. So sure enough, there was like fences and fences behind it, literally like 3 barbed wire fences. We had to climb 3 barbed wire and then a chain link. And we finally get over, and there's a cop with a spotlight driving around back there. So we're now in the back of a neighborhood and trying to find our way home. And I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to hang out with these kids anymore. This is dumb. And it's not like we had no bad intentions, but we were there. So,
yeah.
There's nothing you can say. And sure enough, when we went by later on, we had to get home. The gate was open, so we didn't have to jump it. We could have just walked in there. There was 2 entrances. We could have just walked to the entrance that was open. Instead, we jumped it.
Yeah.
I should have known right there. It was a bad idea.
Remember when I said earlier that anything you say can go against you?
The police are going to come knocking on my door tomorrow morning.
Yeah, or in 20 years you're going to be in trouble for jumping a fence. And they're like, well, he actually has a history of jumping fences.
He does.
But my most scared I've ever been, where I literally thought I was going to die, I was with 2 friends. We were driving to FAU to see a mutual friend of ours to hang out for a weekend because we hadn't seen him in like a year. And I'm driving there, and my steering wheel, there was a loose knob on it, so you could move it up and down freely.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey guys, look what I can do, going 80 down the highway, and I go up and down, and then it pops out at me, and then pops to the left. And then at that point, there was 2 screws that completely came out. We didn't know this at this point. I literally thought if I pulled forward towards my body, that the steering wheel would come off, and I would have no way to steer my car. Damn. And it literally moved in a circle, like moving the entire thing, not just the wheel. And that was by far the scariest because I'm going 80 down it. I'm thinking I have 0 steering. And then I was actually 200 miles away from home. And I was scared to call my parents because they'd be all mad at me. Yeah. And I have to tow a car 200 miles. Yeah. So I just drove it back like that. Yeah. After the weekend. I left it parked the entire weekend, came back, it was still like that. And you couldn't turn left. Like you had to turn... because it would move towards the window, and you'd hit the window with the steering wheel. So we tried turning right, or like 2 left turns instead of a full U-turn. It was not fun. It was
okay. Random question on that subject: would you rather lose steering or brakes?
I'd rather lose steering.
Yeah, I think so. I've always had the idea that if I lost brakes, that I would be able to maneuver my way out of trouble.
Just pop
but
into
eventually,
neutral
you
and
got to
maneuver.
stop. Yeah, but you would pop
Friction.
into neutral. Yeah, eventually you would have to stop. But I mean, I think if you're just driving down the road and you're going down a long road where there's nobody out, eventually you'll just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you're in an intersection and all of a sudden, pop, there goes the brakes.
You honk your horn.
You honk your horn, you maneuver your way out, but after that, you still got to stop.
For an hour. I had a friend whose battery died because he was being a jerk and honked his horn for a good 2 minutes while he was tailgating me.
Karma.
Yeah. It made me really happy whenever his car wouldn't start. I was like, yes. But then it was in my driveway, so I had to get it fixed.
Oh, that sucks. It's like it backfired on you.
Yeah, it did backfire in a way, but it still made me relatively happy. Because then at that point, the person who came to fix it actually fixed my steering wheel. And that's how that story ended.
So that's a big circle, and it worked out nicely.
Worked out really nicely. I got revenge on the person who was being a jerk, and then my steering wheel got fixed. And after I got back, when we were driving back, I never told this part, we were on the phone with someone. They're like, oh, is a driving okay? Our friend. And then something fell out of the steering wheel at that moment. And we're just like, yeah, we're gonna die.
Yep, you're dead.
We're on the highway, and it's a 70 on a highway, so everyone's like going 80, 90, and we're over here going 50
50 miles
because I'm scared to go
Yeah.
over 50 because it was a bad time.
That's like there was a point where I was driving down the turnpike, and I got off the turnpike and I went to the right, and all of a sudden I stepped on the brakes and it just grinding and grinding and grinding, and I was like, oh no. So I let off the brakes, no grinding. Step on the brakes, grinding. So I run around the corner and I look, and my brake caliper was just sitting inside of my wheel. I was like, I don't know what to do. And it was after we came back from, I remember we were at City Walk, I believe.
This was
And so
the
it was
Camry?
like, yeah, this was a Camry. It was like probably past midnight. So I called somebody, and they're like, nobody's, unless you want to have somebody come tow it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go slow and drive home. I drove home with no brakes.
Yeah.
I just went like 30 miles an hour all the way
Yeah,
home.
I'd much rather go without steering because I feel like steering, you just slam on the brake, just wave out the window, sorry, hazards on, everyone understands. You don't got brakes, everyone just thinks you're a tool.
Logically, it would make sense to not have steering compared to not having brakes. But for some reason, I still feel like I would rather be able to steer my car. I would say it like this, because if you realize too late that you don't have steering,
Do you feel
you
like
can hit somebody and kill them. If you don't have brakes, you can control where your car goes to not
Yeah.
kill them, but to
Hurt
protect
yourself.
somebody else. Yeah,
I'd rather hurt myself in a car accident than
anybody
hurt
else.
someone.
Yeah, I'd rather.
I'd rather go with no leg than forcing someone else to go with no leg.
Yes, definitely. I would rather. Like, I lost control of my car by myself going up a bridge.
Is this where the 7-foot dent came from?
Yes, it is. And when I hit the
Was
guardrail,
this a drawbridge while it was going up?
no, it was not quite as cool as that.
Because
But
that's totally worth the dent.
oh yeah. But as soon as I hit the guardrail, I realized, like, thank God nobody was coming, because I would have killed myself and them, and really more concerned with them, because I made a mistake. I made a mistake driving my car.
I'd hate to have to deal with that.
Oh yeah, it'd be horrible.
I'd rather deal with a physical injury than the emotional.
Well, if I hit a car head on going sideways, I'd be dead. It would break my car in half. So God protected me there, which was cool. But at the same time, it made me realize, like, okay, don't mess up.
Yeah,
because you can hurt somebody else and not yourself.
Yeah, definitely not. Well, I got something else to talk about. You spoke on it in the first podcast very briefly, where you said you're working at a place now that you probably won't be working there as much. So I wanted to bring up job interviews and
Yeah.
how I think they should be handled. Someone who's only had one job their entire life and it's a non-skilled worker job. It's literally just to pay the bills, and I love everyone who works there. It's a family environment. I love
Yeah.
that, but obviously it's not a career job. It's a quick service restaurant, but it goes. I feel like no matter what the job is, you should dress up. I'm not talking 3-piece suit, but I'm talking khakis, long collared shirt, tie.
I completely agree with what you're saying. The only thing that I did a little bit differently this time around. I've had 3 job interviews. First time, suit and tie. I mean, I didn't wear a jacket, but I wore, slacks, tucked in, button-up shirt with a tie. And the second time there, I did the same thing. And this time, it was a little bit different because I had just asked to go in and have a conversation with somebody about like if there were going to be possibilities, and if there was possibilities, what I would have to do to get the job, what requirements there were. So I set up an appointment to talk to somebody. So it wasn't that I was going in for a job interview and whatsoever, and it wasn't a first impression because I've met people there. So when I went in there, this time I didn't dress all the way up. I wore like a nice pair of jeans, a nice pair of shoes, and tucked in a button-up shirt. So it was casual dress, and I dressed like
you
nice.
You can't go in shorts and a t-shirt.
No, I dressed nice, but I dressed somewhat casual. And I went in there and I sat down and I talked to a guy for an hour and a half about the job. And when I was done there, he gave me an application. So, I mean, I knew that I was going to put in an application, but I knew it also wasn't a job interview. Well, then he invited me back to talk to somebody talk to 2 different managers just to have a conversation about the job. At that point, they had set up an appointment for me, so I dressed full, like nice. I dressed, slacks and shirt and tie.
Also, away from like dressing, like how do you feel you should handle how you actually talk?
Honesty. That's every employer wants honesty.
Yeah.
And when I went to an interview at the place I work currently, they asked me a question like, "Hey, what at your last job did you mess up? Can you just tell us something that you messed up at your last job?" And I did some of the dumbest crap at my old job. So I was just honest. I said, "Well, I did this, and it was my fault. I shouldn't have done it, and I did it, and I didn't get in trouble."
Like you owned up to it.
Yeah, and this was my repercussion. And he goes, I could see that happening. He said, but really we appreciate your honesty. And that's what I realized. I said, when you go into an interview, you should just be honest. And really, you don't want them hiring you for something that you're not.
Yeah, because then when your actual personality comes out, people just think that you lied to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I don't want that. My job, it wasn't very hard to get because my mother was very good friends with the manager's wife.
Yeah.
So that's basically how my brother also worked at the establishment. So I kind of had like a lock on the job, but I still wanted to make an impression on him. But
yeah, it's nice to know somebody where you're going to work because where I got a job now, somebody put their name in for me to get a job there. Yeah. And then I got one of my best friends a job there as well, and I got another guy a job there. So I've gotten multiple people jobs there because they knew somebody.
See, that's admirable. There's very few people I would put my name
down. Oh,
down.
yeah, definitely. One of the people that I put it in for, the first person, I made a big mistake by putting it in. He got hurt. He did something stupid. And then the next person, it was my very best friend at the time. And so I trusted everything. I trusted him with everything. And other than that, I have never actually put my name in. But people know me. And when they say that they know you, they they generally hire somebody if they know your friends or whatever. So,
see, I only have like 2 people I'd put my name down. One of them is my dad, and the other one is his significant other. So those are the only 2 people I trust that will work hard.
Ooh, so you don't think that I would work hard enough to put your name in for me?
I would put my name down if you needed it. Like you said, hey man.
No, what if I wanted it? I'm curious. I'm curious. If I said I want a job where you work, would you put your name in for me? What would you say?
I would want to sit down and talk to you and be like, is this because you want to work here and you need some extra money, or is it because you just want to work with your best friend?
And of course, I would just say, I just want to work with my best friend and goof off all day.
I would say no.
Well, I'm not offended.
Good.
But
would you try and get me a job where you work right now?
Of course I would. I would, because you would work hard. If my reputation was on the line, I would expect you to work hard for me. Even if to beyond your potential, I would expect you to.
You know what? I feel like me and you, we're both really good about this. I don't like stepping on toes, and I won't walk around you, but I'll walk through you. I don't know.
I don't know if that sounds any better.
I don't know if this is a good analogy, but I'll tell you straight up, if I get you a job where I work and you're not going to the potential that I expect you to have, even though I'm just a team member and I'm the same as you, I tell you because I put my name on the line for it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. That makes sense. All right, well, I think we should wrap this one up.
Yeah, we're going on quite a long time on this one. We just want to thank everybody again. We actually, I don't want to say capped out, but the last we checked, there was over 150 views on it, and that was really exciting for us. It was really motivating, and we literally, as soon as we saw it, we were like, we need to record
again. We need to get to recording.
Because this is really fun, and it's a lot more entertaining for us as it is for you guys, and everyone that told me that they were really entertained by it.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate everybody listening. Tell us what you thought on our Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. We don't have Twitters because we're not on that tweet game.
Not yet.
Not
We're
yet.
thinking about an Instagram. Let us know if we should make an Instagram.
we
We,
should
didn't
make-
know if we wanted to blow up social media that much.
Yeah, because we don't want to spread too quick.
Yeah. And there's a possibility that next week we're going to have our very first guest on the show. So be watching out. We're not going to let anybody know who it is yet, but we might have a guest on the show. So that'll be awesome.
And we have we figured everything out recording wise, be able to set that all up. So we're excited, and the first person we're gonna have on is we're really excited about it. And then also we're signing up another series that we want to call Testimony Tuesdays, where people will share their testimonies. We have people lined up to do it and are excited to do it. So we're gonna start that up on a Tuesday, probably in about 2 Tuesdays from now.
Yeah.
We'll probably have the first one out.
We'd like to release one once a month. So that's going to be interesting, and that'll be exciting to hear where people are going and where they've come from. So that's going to wrap it up for us. So this has been a great talk with Adam and Riley. I'm Adam.
And I'm Riley.
Have a great day.